There is growing angst among parents these days around the idea of specialized youth sports.
Yeah, so we know nationwide that participating in recreational sports has actually gone down, and that's due to kids joining competitive leagues that require more time, more money, and resources. So when is it healthy and helpful for a child to take sports more seriously? We have sports psychologist Tom Golightly here to break it all down for us. And when we talk about commitments, we talk about the kid factor through, their lens, and then, of course, the parent commitment. So let's go ahead and talk about the kid's perspective first. So what do we need to consider, like, if they're going to be ready emotionally?
Well, from the emotional standpoint, I think what's really important is, one, that they like it. Not just that they're good at it, but that they genuinely enjoy it, that they get some kind of intrinsic reward from it. And the other piece is, if they're ready to specialize, that they don't need a reward right away. They don't need the minutes, they don't need the goals or the points or whatever it is, that they're really about, I'm gonna grow here, I'm gonna build skill, and I don't need that reward every Saturday or every Friday when I'm playing.
Which that takes some maturity, right? Some emotional maturity to be able to see the game as you just described it. Some young kids can't do that.
Yes, some parents can't do that. Like, it's really, really hard, right? And so there is something to be said about, no, I'm okay growing, and, think of it from the music lens. They're okay sitting at the piano for a half hour and not just performing every day, right?
Yeah. So. How would you suggest, though, Tom, that we gauge that emotional maturity? Like, we think we know maybe they're not throwing a tantrum or they're not pouting when they aren't put into the game or to the play, but how else might we gauge that as parents to know that they're really ready to take on that enhanced level?
I think one of the big things is when they come home from a practice or a training, they loved it. Okay. And I'm like, wow, I really, really liked this, and it wasn't because I was better than everybody. It's like, I learned something today, and I'm really falling in love with all of the things related to this, not just the outcomes of that sport.
Got it. All right, let's talk about the parents' perspective, too. I was just telling Brooke earlier that I had my daughter in competitive sports at, like, the age of 9, through high school as well, but I didn't realize how much of a time commitment is involved, lots of practices, going to tournaments out of state, and then the financial impact of it as well.
So there's three big things here. One, the parents have to shift a little bit. And when you're playing the recreational sport, it's usually a volunteer coach. And so you're kind of another coach. So you do talk a little bit more about what's happening in the sport. Shifting to be, they're already self-evaluating when they get to that club level. So, put an arm around them. The ride home, is really, really important, where we're not just rehashing everything from the sport angle, but that we're just gonna love and be okay. That counterbalance piece that you brought up, though, there is so much time involved, and the risk we run in specializing early is burnout. And what we've learned is, if they burn out and they want to quit, they're not going to move to another sport. They're going to become sedentary, and overuse injury. So as parents, we have to be willing to counterbalance and really introduce their free time. Like, we've got to be away, we've got to recover, and we've got to be okay with not being in sport at times, even though the club might be pulling for a lot of time.
Round, right?
Exactly. And those financial commitments, from a parent standpoint, really accepting that there might not be a financial return here, that our investment is not for a scholarship or for any monetary reward. It's for the growth of my child, to make them the best human that we can make them. So those three things, if the parents are ready for that, then we're going to be okay.
And going back to that counterbalance, here comes the emotional maturity again. I hear the undertone being the parents have to counterbalance a lot of things, not just the time spent, but the emotional investment. And am I talking to my kid about something other than football or other than soccer? Am I encouraging him to branch out scholastically or musically? Or the goal is well-rounded, right?
Yes, and those identity pieces are really, really important. And what we can help with as parents sometimes, if we're too involved and we only talk about these things, is we cut off their identity at just this one thing. And we do still have social identities and other activities that we can influence and encourage. And it's really, really helpful for the human. And by the way, when the kid goes to college, that's also a good thing. Like, just talk about other things, not just the sport.
Exactly. There's a whole other myriad of things that we need to break down when they get to that level. Wow, great insight. We really appreciate you, Tom.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Tom.